Donald Trump just completed the best week of his campaign, and he still managed to F it up. A leftover story from last week, brought to us by Eliana Johnson at National Review. She's more of a reporter than a commentator, but this does need to be stated once again. By putting the birther controversy front and center, Trump squandered a week's worth of momentum. Almost like he doesn't really want to win. Almost like he doesn't want to stop Hillary, Trumplicans. Almost like he's her stalking horse, her blocker to get to the White House end zone, goal line, whatever. Donald Trump and his allies have been privately celebrating Hillary Clinton's stumbles, first on the campaign trail a week, or not this past weekend, but last weekend, and then in the polls last week, which seemed to tighten dramatically after the former Commissar of State was forced to disclose that she had been diagnosed with pneumonia and misled the media and the public about it. Then, just as the conventional wisdom was beginning to harden that he could defeat Hillary Clinton, Trump capped what was shaping up as the best week of his campaign by descending back into a conspiracy theory surrounding the country of Barack Obama's birth, which, if you will recall, has never been relevant to his constitutional eligibility for the presidency. It's whether or not both of his parents were U.S. citizens. Not if just one of them is a U.S. citizen, because that's what case law says, and that's not relevant either, no matter what John Marshall once said 213 years ago. It's whether, as the Constitution states, both parents of a candidate were U.S. citizens. It has nothing to do with where they were born. Now, the incident, which concluded at a press conference Friday morning where Trump declared that the president was born in the United States, period, raised questions about whether his newly installed campaign aides can keep the candidate from sinking his own bid for the White House between now and the November election, presuming that he wants them to do that for him. It was the first major stumble for Trump since he replaced former campaign chairman Paul Manafort back in August with a new team consisting, and even more incompetent, consisting of ceremonial campaign CEO Steve Bannon, campaign manager Kellyanne Conway, and deputy campaign manager David Bossie. Since the transition, Trump has displayed more discipline on the campaign trail, delivering a series of loopy policy addresses where he betrayed his base on immigration, betrayed his base on Veterans Affairs, and betrayed his base on taxes. He's also gotten lucky, having fanned the flames of what he once had seemed like a fevered conspiracy about Mrs. Clinton's declining health. He was gifted the much-publicized pneumonia incident, which fed the public perception that he had been right all along. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But it was another conspiracy theory about the irrelevant whereabouts of Obama's birth that once again knocked him off course. Trump, who has peddled a number of outlandish views during the course of the campaign, such as questioning Ted Cruz's eligibility for the presidency and accusing George W. Bush of lying the country into the Iraq War, like any good leftist would accuse him of doing, revived the controversy in an interview with the Washington Post last Wednesday night. Asked whether he was ready to concede that Barack Obama was born in the United States, he said, "I'll answer that question at the right time. I just don't want to answer it yet." Which, parse those two sentences. That's designed to get people hanging on, oh, what's he going to say? What's he going to say? Puts all the attention on him, right? and he doesn't want it anywhere else. Afterward, he rebuffed campaign aides trying to stem the damage. Though his campaign manager, the woebegone sad sack Kellyanne Conway, had said that Trump believes Obama was born in the U.S., Trump told the Post she was merely speaking what she thinks. Trump brought the so-called birther movement, whose members allege that Obama was not born in the United States and therefore is an illegitimate president. Well, he's an illegitimate president, but it has nothing to do with where he was born. Into the mainstream, like Trump is in the mainstream, through a series of high-profile TV news appearances in the spring of 2011, if you will recall. I have people that have been studying it, and they cannot believe what they're finding, he told NBC in April of that year. You are not allowed to be president if you're not born in this country. Right now, I have real doubts. Again, it's not where you're born, it's whether both of your parents were U.S. citizens at the time of your birth. The issue seemed to have been put to rest when Obama released his original long-form birth certificate shortly thereafter. That is, until Trump revived it. He sought to end the uproar elicited by his remarks in a Friday morning press conference at his new hotel in Washington, D.C. Well, that helps explain it. That'll be the new would be the new White House if Trump got elected. Hey, I'll start taking bets. There's more of a chance of that than of Trump actually getting elected. Where, flanked by military heroes who took turns unzipping his fly, he offered a few terse sentences on the matter. Of Hillary Clinton, he said, her campaign of 2008 started the birther controversy. I ended it. Barack Obama was born in the United States, period. In other words, he just lied right through his excessively white teeth. Well, they're not white, they're kind of orange, just like the rest of him. Though Mrs. Clinton's allies, including then-senior advisor Mark Penn, encouraged her to raise questions about Obama's lack of American roots during the 2008 campaign, she never explicitly made an issue of his exotic background. In other words, Trump lied again. It was a bad end to what should have been a banner week for his campaign, which saw the release of several polls showing the race tightening and the Republican nominee within striking distance in a handful of swing states. I don't know if I'd include Michigan on that list, but whatever. I don't know. It looks like her numbers are in free fall, said one top Republican strategist, which, is tightening not because Trump is surging, but because Hillary is sagging, figuratively as well as literally. She's just one more incident away, one trip, one stumble, one swing in the heat moment. Well, that's an exaggeration. From this being over? No. Yeah, it's just wishful thinking. And remember 2012, Republicans, you had a lot of wishful thinking in that campaign. I know, because I was part of it. I learned my lesson. But Trump's decision to again stoke the birther controversy threatens to arrest whatever momentum he had, and to upend the view just beginning to take hold that the candidate's newly installed campaign team had helped to rein him in. But wait a minute! I thought nobody controls Trump! This proves again, well, yeah, I guess that's right. Trump had been uncharacteristically restrained in his public remarks about Mrs. Clinton's health after the revelation of her illness, probably because he's got some health revelations of his own he wants to keep close to the vest. Like, advanced syphilis, for example. He told Fox News on Monday, I just hope she gets well and gets back on the trail and we'll be seeing her at the debate. Which I've got Trumplicans sending me videos on YouTube claiming that the Clinton campaign is using life model decoys of Mrs. Clinton at her campaign rallies. There's so much legitimate stuff upon which to go after and make fun of Hillary Clinton. Why make stuff up, Joe Scarafone? Why make stuff up? For months, Trump has floated the idea that Mrs. Clinton lacks the energy and vigor to serve as president. Like what? Like presidents have to go out and chop wood to keep the White House warm? Last month, he challenged her to release detailed medical records, which, by the way, he has not done. When Mrs. Clinton coughed during a speech last week and the incident garnered attention on Twitter, he tweeted, "Mainstream media never covered Hillary's massive hacking or coughing attack, yet it is #1 trending. What's up?" It's, Hillary coughing has already become a cliche by this point. Trump's public posture in the wake of the Hillary campaign's disclosure that the candidate was indeed sick belied a more celebratory atmosphere among his allies, his cultists, his zombie hordes. Mrs. Clinton's illness and her campaign's lack of transparency about it validated what had once merely seemed a Trumpian conspiracy theory, that the Democrat nominee simply lacked stamina to keep up with him on the campaign trail. He's not running an actual campaign, actually. It's a publicity tour. "I do think it's more than pneumonia," said Ed Rollins, the co-chairman of a super PAC backing Trump. "I've had strokes, I've had pneumonia, and I was sidelined in bed for 3 weeks." He's had multiple strokes? Wow, that sucks. "It was very serious. Traditionally, after Labor Day, the race is over, but the race is far from over at this point." Well, I'm still not ready to concede that. I mean, Trump has reached high tide at about 250 electoral votes. Yeah, that's high tide for Trump. It's pretty much downhill from there. And in a subsequent video, we're going to address that. A window in what passes for Trump's thinking came Wednesday evening at a rally in Flint, Michigan, when he veered off script several times, as is his wont, asking the crowd at one point, "I don't know, folks, do you think Hillary could stand up here for an hour?" Of course, she won't have to, because all 3 debates, the candidates will be seated. If he wanted to make a big deal about that, he should have resisted on that point. But then if he'd done that, then he would look like he was being cruel and mean, so he really didn't have a choice. Now, as it turned out, it may have been the first indication that whatever success Trump's new team had had in tamping down his more unpredictable tendencies would be short-lived. The old Trump has returned. The old Trump going away was a lot longer than I would have ever given him credit for, but you can't control Trump, even when he needs to be, desperately. Whether his advisors can force him back into hiding into the coming days and weeks will do much to determine the fate of his campaign, which means his campaign is still doomed.